All right, welcome to Talkin Investing. Welcome to the last trading day of the week in the U.S. and Canada, I believe we determined.
Wait. Isn't it the last trading day of the quarter?
It is also, in fact, the last trading day of the quarter for the equity markets. Yes, indeed. Hello, George.
How are you? Hang on. You doing good? Last trading day.
Last trading day of the year. I mean, of the quarter. So I think that had something to do with some of the stuff that went on today. We will talk about that. It was a good day for Bitcoin. I'll go back to the one-day chart. I mean, we had a nice green candle today. We're, several days in a row. We broke back above the previous all-time high on Monday, and we stayed there all week. So, a good week, but a very strange day for the Bitcoin miners. We'll talk about some of these in particular. We have a new feature. We're going to attempt to kind of stay on track here. So I'm going to highlight topic number 1, which is the Bitcoin charts. So as we get people to stroll in, we will discuss. Also, if everybody could do us a favor and please smash the like button. It makes a enormous difference for the live stream. And this live stream is probably going to need help going into the holiday weekend. So do us a favor, help us out. We're at 16 likes. We're going for 500. We're not close.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to tell you one thing. I was thinking about this with the Talking Investing show.
Yes.
Now I can't bounce around because I want to know about HUD A too. What a blast today.
But you said I got it on the list. We're gonna get to HUD 8. They had their earnings. A lot of stuff happened today. A lot of stuff happened this week. And like George said, it was also the last day of the quarter. Midway, who is a subscriber, thanks for being a subscriber, and also thanks for the super chat. So Midway said, are you considering buying more Iris shares here in the low 5s, mid 5s? So yes, it's my smaller positions out of my Bitcoin mining positions. And, there was a huge opportunity last week. I got it in the low 4s. So, we'll see. If it was started to run today where I thought, I'll just say this, at 6 and above, I'm going to just call my position full and let it ride because I'm already very heavy in Bitcoin mining companies. So, I don't need to add more, but if opportunities present itself, and still Iris in the low 5s, to me, not financial advice, please, everybody, none of this is ever financial advice, but, I talk about what I'm doing, George talks about what he's doing, and I consider that, still in a buy zone, and a part of that is because I'm very optimistic in the short term and medium term on Bitcoin. So, I think at some point when we get that pump, some of these are going to really look like, in retrospect, they're going to look like a steal type of a buying opportunity.
Yeah. Short report. What in the world is that?
We're going to talk about a couple of short reports that came out this week that absolutely affected some stocks. So let's wait for a few. Let's wait for some people to get in. We'll give 5 minutes or less for people to roll in. So I don't know.
Well, let's just say, did today make you nervous at all?
No.
Okay.
So today did not make me nervous. I was very happy with the price action of Bitcoin today. And some of the Bitcoin mining price action was just bizarre today. Some Bitcoin miners were off to the races. First of all, early in the trading day, almost everything was off to the races. Then a few of them had a gigantic flip. All right. And certain things started to be down dramatically, while at the same time, some others were running wildly. And we're going to talk about some of those. HUD 8 was up at one point over 20% on the day today. Argo Blockchain, which we will get to later, is finished the day up. This is saying 35%. That must have surged into the close. I didn't see it up that much, but Bit Digital up almost 15%, Any up 13%. So there was a lot of these that had a very big up day. But at the same time, you do see some red on the board. Two in particular, CleanSpark had a down day, and it was green early. It seemed like it had turned the corner and it was going to start running. It was above 24, I think, and we'll look at the chart. And then it turned around and started heading down big time. And I do believe that has to do with what George talked about, which is this is the last day of the quarter. And it kind of snuck up on us. Usually that wouldn't happen on the 28th of March. But because it's now a 3-day weekend here, all of the institutions that need to rebalance their portfolio by quarter's end, we've been talking on this channel for the entire year and beyond. The performance of CleanSpark is just absolutely, I'm talking about the stock. So, like them, don't like them, it may be your favorite Bitcoin miner or not. The performance of CleanSpark stock is just drastically better. It's up significantly more than any other Bitcoin miner. In fact, most of the Bitcoin miners are in the red on the year, whereas CleanSpark is up huge. So, that's going to put a lot of portfolios out of balance. So this is, you guys are familiar. There's a rebalancing at the end of the quarter. So for, companies like CleanSpark that were off to the races are, people are going to rebalance that. Microstrategy was down today. A part of that was rebalancing, and a part of that we're going to talk about next. So, those two were the big losers on the day, and we'll talk more specifically about Microstrategy. But CleanSpark, an 8% pullback. If we look at their chart, well, we'll take a look at the charts in specific in a bit. But you'll see, they were breaking out to new all-time highs, and then boom, just off a cliff. And everything kind of sold. I won't say everything. Most of the Bitcoin miners sold off into the end of the day, even though Bitcoin was really kind of sideways here for the second half of the trading day today. So, okay, so let's get to the short reports. Number one. So
short report
on Microstrategy. So this was written at 10:48 a.m. Eastern this morning, and at that time, Microstrategy was down 14%. Microstrategy slumps at 14% after short seller says stock trades at an unjustifiable premium to Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin price implied by MicroStrategy share price is $177,000, 2.5 times the spot price of the cryptocurrency, the report said. So and we can do a poll. I think this is a flawed line of thinking. To solely base it on this one measure, I think is a flawed line of thinking. So I think that's one of the pieces of the puzzle, right? It's trading at a massive premium to Bitcoin. And, one could argue that even though MicroStrategy, long before they bought their first Bitcoin, they had a company, a functioning company that had $1 billion plus market cap before they ever started any of this. Now, they're massively, massively bigger than that now. Let's just...
Are you doing the poll?
No. Can you do that?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Awesome.
I'm just writing, is MSTR overvalued?
So you'll see, even after an 11% pullback, this is still, a $29 billion market cap. So, this was a $1 billion stock for, if I go to the 5-year, you'll see, if you go back here, this was a $130 stock, even as recently as December of 2022 in the crypto winter. So this has gone from $141 to $1,700, and really, let me go to the chart, which I have up. Yesterday, this hit $1,999.99. So this ran up to $2,000. So I will say, we talked a little bit about this on the members only live stream on Tuesday, that I felt like I was getting a little worried this was getting ahead of itself. So, I don't know. The short report to me seems to overdo it, but this definitely was, this was on a massive run. It was outpacing Bitcoin dramatically in the very short term. It had, since February 7th, so that's less than 2 months ago, to yesterday's high, that's a 300% move to the upside in this stock. I mean, Bitcoin didn't do anything like that. And Bitcoin had a phenomenal 2 months. It broke out of its all-time previous high, so all good stuff for Bitcoin, but nothing like what you're seeing here. So this was a dramatic move. Some of this had to do with the fact that they now qualify to be added to the S&P 500. And I think there's massive anticipation that that's going to happen. And I think so I do think this got a little overheated, and maybe a pullback was coming. But sometimes these short reports, it depends on what you feel about the short report. Sometimes these are the best of all buying opportunities, and that doesn't mean that tomorrow this is going to turn around. In fact, if you disagree with the short report, the longer it beats the stock down, the better, because the more buying opportunity you might have on the stock. I traded out of Microstrategy a long time. I pretty much kind of caught this run. I do very little swing trading, but I just wanted to move this. I had caught such a nice run while some of the other things were still very flat. Microstrategy was running, so I said, let me take that and move it into some longer term positions, still inside of the Bitcoin miners and BitX. So, it didn't leave the space. I just took my profits. But little did I know that, this was nothing. This was nothing. This thing ran up to $2,000. So we'll see where it's going from here. That's only one short report that came out this week. So if we look, let me find it. Okay, so Jefferies cuts Marathon Digital share target, cites Applied Digital disruption. So this week also a short report came out on Marathon. So Marathon's stock took a hit this week for that reason. And let's go to that chart, because it seemed like it was recovering nicely today, but you'll see, look at this giant green wick to the upside. This finished very near its lows on the day. It was still up. Marathon was up 2.3% today. But if you look, it was having, from where it closed yesterday, it was up 11% at one point. So Marathon was off to the races. And then, like I said, a lot of things just kind of, even though Bitcoin held on, a lot of things really pulled back down to earth. And, vice versa, some of the things that were way down, came up a little bit. And so everything kind of settled in, other than apparently Argo Blockchain, which ended the day up 35%. They had some news. We'll get to that news as well. But you can see, so yesterday and today were nice days. But, when this short report came out, Marathon had a little bit of a pullback. And I did take this as a buying opportunity. So, I thought maybe there would be more to come, but, I added a little bit to my position. Again, I'm just telling you what I'm doing, not financial advice. You guys all know you got to do your own thing. And please do your own thing. Do your own due diligence. And for those of you new here, and I know a lot of you have been here for a long time, both on our channel and in this space, the Bitcoin miners are just wildly, wildly volatile, and there's just no predicting. And if you look at CleanSpark, I'm going to go to the 1 hour. And just to really look at, so that, within moments of the market opening today, CleanSpark was up here. So, this seemed like it was going to be a good day. But not a good day. From the top to the bottom, that's a 14% move down for CleanSpark. It hit its new high, right? this $23.60 line, that goes back to November of 2021. So that's where CleanSpark was when Bitcoin hit $69,000 in the previous bull market. So, this is the first one to get back to its previous all-time high. None of the others are even close. I will tell you, most of them are somewhere between 70 and 99% down from their highs of the previous cycle. CleanSpark today blew by that, but you can see it got rejected. And I think this is both because of the fact that, this was a test and it got rejected. But in addition to that, it's the end of the quarter. And you can see if I go from the beginning of this quarter, let's go to the 1 day.
Talkin investing.
I mean, where's... So this was the run up on December 27th. So things pulled back. So this was basically the first day of the month. We started, really you got to say right here. Actually, right. Sorry. So, that was almost 100% move to the upside. And for those companies that got, a chance down here, from the bottom in the middle of January, that was a 282% move to the upside after this pullback that all the Bitcoin miners had in the first, 2 or 3 weeks of January. So, massive move to the upside. Sourmelon Gaming, member for 13 months. Thank you for being a member. Been here almost 2 years total with these guys. Buy the membership and let Tom and George lead you to the promised land. Thanks for everything, guys. Thank you, Sourmelon Gaming. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a member for 13 months and for being with us for 2 years. And thank you for sharing along the way some big, big success stories of your own. So hopefully things are still going well for you. I know that you shared with the members some of your success. So congratulations on that. And thanks for being a member. So there were 2 big short reports out this week. We haven't had a lot of short reports inside of this space. Now, technically, MicroStrategy is not a Bitcoin miner, but it's in this space for sure to the extent that, we have it on our list. We have it on, if I go back to the 15-minute, you'll see MicroStrategy right here. We track this with the other Bitcoin miners. And it has acted a lot like Bitcoin miners over time. Over the last few months, it's acted much, much, much better than the Bitcoin miners. And much better than Bitcoin itself. All right, should we talk HUT 8?
Yes. I think that was the big news of the day.
Let's do it. First, let's take a look. Is MicroStrategy overvalued? Aha. So we've got 62%, so just a little over 60-40. Think that MicroStrategy is overvalued. I would not be surprised if it pulled back a little bit more, but I do think it will keep running. I mean, in the members only, we went through some very bullish scenarios over a little bit longer periods of time, 3, 4, 5 years. I feel like MicroStrategy is still, a great investment. Having said that, you got to decide if it's overvalued at this point, and certainly, is this the right time to start dollar cost averaging in? As always, none of this is financial advice, but I think it's commonly known that it's probably not a great idea to just plop all your money in on one thing, no matter what it is at any given moment. So always please be careful FOMOing in a massive way into one thing or another.
I was in shock to see this HUT thing, Tom.
The price action on HUT. So let's go through HUT 8. Right, the market loved this. The market loved this. It continues to confuse me a little bit. There's definitely some positive things in here. HUT 8 reports operating and financial results for 6 months ended December 31st, 2023. I don't know where the quarter is. I guess it's the 6 months for some reason. I'm not trying to nitpick. We do this in a certain way, right? I mean, we get quarterly reports, and then we get our 10K, we get our annual report, and so I'm just not sure what the 6-month report is. Nat NG, thank you very much for the super chat. Just a thank you super chat. So thank you very much. Much appreciated. Let me know if you have any questions or thoughts. So revenue of $60 million, including $12.6 million from managed services. So they lead with this term. This is what they're about now. And I'm not saying they're not about Bitcoin mining. That's still the bigger portion of their revenue for sure. But you can see they've gone... This merger of equals, if you will, that they've done has clearly been a move towards managed services. Most of their megawatts, most of their capacity is used for that versus self-mining. And, somebody asked me on the members only stream, what do you want to hear on Thursday from Hut 8? What's going to make you bullish on Hut 8? And, we still don't see anything specific here about growth plans for their Bitcoin mining. So that's the thing that I focused on. I wanted to see a couple of things. They've said twice now that they've changed their treasury strategy and that, they're going to be willing to use their Bitcoin to grow their business. So I don't love that. So I wanted some clarification on that. And I wanted to see some growth strategy. Now, maybe this wasn't the time, maybe they're just going to focus on their 6-month operational report, and you get their financial statements and all that good stuff in here. And they were profitable. You'll see net income of $6.2 million and adjusted EBITDA of $62 million. They have still 9,195 self-mined Bitcoin on the balance sheet, so I liked that a lot. So there is some good stuff here, right? They mined this 9,000. They hodled their Bitcoin for a long, long time to get to 9,000. Now, they had a hard time, their 2023, life in 2023 was not so much about adding to their hodl, but it was about holding on to it. And they were able to do that through the merger and all. So, all right, they still have that. So that makes them that gives them a very strong balance sheet. But what I did notice, let me see if I can find this. I'm jumping around, but I just wanted to go to a few things. All right, so I don't see it right away, and I'm going to have to find it. But it looks like a lot of these Bitcoin are now restricted. So I don't know. I guess they've collateralized a lot of these. I thought that number was going to jump out at me. I know it's in here somewhere. Let's see. So total self-mined balance of 9,110 Bitcoin, which represents $557 million of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So, their market cap isn't really that much more. Their market cap obviously jumped today, but, it's not that much more. At one point, it was getting close to 1-to-1 with the amount of Bitcoin they had versus their overall market cap. Now, it's moved up. It's had a nice run up this week, including today, so that's not true anymore, but that's a lot. The other thing worth noting is there is some credence to this net income. Some of these companies had net income, and it is because they switched to the new accounting rules. Now, so just a little clarification on this. Hut 8 also switched to the new accounting rules, which allow you to account for your Bitcoin at, adjust it to fair market value with each reporting period. However, Hut 8, prior to this is now a U.S. company. So as a function of that, they now need to adopt this rule. Prior to that, I'm going to show you something from their footnotes from their last financial statements. So this is from footnote 7 of their September 30th financial statements. Digital assets are Digital assets are revalued each reporting period based on the fair market value of the price of digital assets on the reporting date. As of September 30th, 2023, the price of Bitcoin was $36,451. So because they were a Canadian company, effectively, the rules in Canada, they were already doing what the U.S. rule just changed to. So yes, they adopted the U.S. rule because they're now a U.S. company, so they had to make that formal adoption. But it is not a change for them. So unlike the other companies, unlike Marathon, which had, a $300 or $400 million one-time pickup, this was only a $30,000 adjustment, and really it should be a part of regular operations. All this adjustment was from last quarter's Bitcoin price to this quarter's Bitcoin price. So they did not get from the low, in the US, these companies were having to carry Bitcoin, mark it down as it went down, and then not get to mark it up as it went up. So a lot of these companies like Marathon, the majority of their Bitcoin was marked down to that 15,500 that Bitcoin got down to, during, the crypto winter. So Hut 8 didn't have to do that. So my point of all that is actually a positive point. This $6 million of income, yes, 30-something million dollars of this was an adjustment of their digital assets, but that was not a one-off adjustment from the beginning of time. All that did is reflect this quarter's increase in the value of their Bitcoin. So I think this is a very legitimate $6.2 million of profit that this company showed. Versus, had they been on the other accounting method, they would have had a $200 million adjustment and shown some gigantic net income. And that would not have, that would have been a one-off, and the market would have, had to adjust for that. But so I thought, these were better. These were very good results. My only question is, so the market liked it and it ran up a lot and it had been beaten down a lot, but I'm just not sure. We should do this poll. The Microstrategy poll looks like 60-40. And let's do a poll. Did people like this Hut 8 financial report? Are we more bullish on Hut 8?
Did you get through the report?
I have not gotten through this entire report. I spent, most of the day prepping for the live stream today. So, I've done an overview of this. I've taken a look at in general, but I have not done my cover to cover of their filing yet. But I do know, they didn't really talk about what comes next. There is no big announcement on, where they're going from a Bitcoin mining standpoint, from an exahash standpoint, a self-mining exahash standpoint. So that's the piece that still concerns me with Hut 8. If you could do us a big favor, for those of you who are willing, if you could please hit the like button. We're at 73 likes. We go for 500 likes. We are way short right now, so it does help the live stream in real time. So if you enjoyed this content, if you want to help us for free, you can smash the like button. And if you're new here and you're not a member, if you're not a subscriber, also, you can subscribe. We talk about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners all the time on this channel, and it's free to subscribe as well. Okay, so next on our list is Bitfarms.
So are you... Wait, I just got to ask one more question.
Go right
ahead.
Hut 8. You want to
Are you going to buy any Hut?
I am not.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean I'm
do
never
you
going
own
to buy
any Hut?
I no longer own any Hut. And I'm not saying I'm never going to own Hut. I do not have Hut in, there's for the members, there was 6 that, there's 6 companies that I was worried about and concerned about going into the halving. This was not one of them. This is in that middle list of companies that I'm just not sure which way it's going to go. There's some that I have a pretty high level of conviction that are going to do very well in this bull market. There's 6 that I'm worried are, going to struggle at best. Some of them may do worse than struggle. These guys are in the middle. I just feel like we need to get more information and see more. They mined 292 Bitcoin last month. We'll see how many Bitcoin they mine this month. But the point is, and they said their price per Bitcoin was $18,000 and change, I think, if I remember correctly. So that's not a bad cost, but that will effectively, something along the lines of double, which is still decent at the prices that Bitcoin is at. That's not the big problem. The problem is, now maybe they're going to be mining 150 Bitcoin a month. Is that a company that's got, is that a company that's going to be investment worthy 4 years from now or 2 years from now? What's their plan to get where they're going? Because they're falling behind with the network difficulty level continuing to rise. And now, we're days away from the reward getting cut in half. Are they gonna say, listen, now we're managed service and this is where our growth is gonna come from? What's the plan? AG, who's a member, thank you very much for being a member, and thank you for the super chat. AG said, I can only handle good Bitfarm news. P.S. Love the sidebar. Great addition. Happy Easter. Thank you. Happy Easter to you. And I'm glad you like the sidebar. Hopefully this works out for us. It's a little bit more structured environment here for us. And for those of you who know George and I, sometimes conversation goes where it will. So we'll see how we can stick to this. We're giving it a shot. Barry C., thank you for being a member as well, and thanks for the super chat. Hut in the conference call said they are waiting to buy the latest machines around June-ish. So I will have to thank you for that, Barry, and I'm going to have to listen to the conference call, which I have not done yet. My concern is, what are they waiting? What's June? What's June? I like the companies, for instance, compare and contrast CleanSpark, who bought their machines. They're already installed, up and running, and they're 16 exahash, and they're banking. They went from 500 to what's probably going to be 5,000 or 6,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet in a 4-month window because they moved early in this. June is several months after the halving. I'm just not sure I'm glad they said something about it, and depending on what they do, I'm not saying there's not. Again, I don't think all is lost with this company. They're making money. They've got a very strong balance sheet, but I'm waiting to see more definitively what exactly is next. And the other thing is, the price of these machines has been dirt cheap for the latest and greatest machines, which are significantly better than all the machines people were buying in the previous bull market. So, the machines are magnitudes better and, a third the price per terahash or less. So I just feel like they better get these before that equation changes. I don't know that it's going to change, but that's just the whole point. I don't know. So thank you, Barry. I do need to listen to their conference call. We do need to know more about that. George, did I answer your question?
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was relatively easy.
Are you more bullish on Hut? So 36% of the people said yes, 64% said no. So I guess I'm not more bullish. I didn't dislike what I saw. The market loved what they saw for sure. And there was some good stuff in there, and it sounds like there's some more stuff on the conference call. So I need to hear the whole conference call. I need to read their entire financial statements, and let's see. But even after all of that, until they definitively say we bought this many machines, this much exahash for this much money, and this is where we plan on going, that's what I would need to see to come off the sidelines on Hut. But again, they're very strong balance sheet, so I don't think they're going anywhere, but that's just my opinion. Okay, so I didn't get to Bitfarms, did I? Okay, so this was, I think, Monday. So we talked about this with the members already. Bitfarms announces CEO transition. So this was, I think, Monday morning. First thing, CEO transition, which caught me off guard. I think it probably caught everybody off guard. This was, I do not believe this was a firing. This did not look or act in any way, shape, or form like a firing. This does seem like, just as they're describing it, a transition. So my knee-jerk reaction to this was, I don't want to say panic, but negative. Nobody likes to see you want consistency in the C-suites, particularly at the CEO position. That's the person driving the bus. So, obviously you got the board of directors, you got the chairman of the board, and the CEO works at the behest of the board. But while they are the CEO, the buck stops there. So this is this is turnover at the highest level. So while I don't love that, if I think about and I go through my Bitfarms is one of my bigger positions. So I will tell you, and again, not financial advice. It's one of my bigger positions. I did not sell any Bitfarms on this news. I have a much higher price target for Bitfarms that they're at right now. That's my personal opinion. I'm bullish on Bitfarms, and that's what I want to talk about a little. I think that operationally we've had Ben Gagnon, who's essentially head of the mining operations. We've had him on the channel. I'm very impressed with him. I think that, operationally, Bitfarms has performed spectacularly for several years now. Month after month, their operational performance has been, excellent, in my opinion. So I don't think that's going to change. They have implemented a growth plan. They have put a strategy together to get from, at the time they were around 5 exahash. They plan to be at 21 exahash by December 31st, 2024. That plan is in place. So this is what I'm looking for. We talked earlier, what are you waiting for Hut 8 to say? Bitfarms came out. They have an exact clear path. They've already made all the purchase orders. They've bought the machines. Some are fully paid for, some have deposits, some are already on the way. So they have a solid plan. So what I'm going to be keeping my eye on is, do they stick to this plan to get from, what was around 5.5 exahash? They're now, I think, about 6.5 or 7, I think, as of their last report. By the way, Monday we will get Bitfarms' monthly operational update for the month of March. So we're going to get some more. And there's these companies, the Bitcoin mining companies are getting these out faster and faster. So, it used to take into the second or third week of the month. That's not happening anymore. There's a bunch. Bitfarms was always the first business day of the month. At the first thing in the morning, they had their operational report out. And to me, that just goes right along with, the Bitfarms operational excellence. So we're going to find out what happened in March on Monday. So I'm going to be watching. They've got a very specific plan on what they've told us they're going to do in 2021. If they stick to that plan, then I feel very confident this is a company moving in the right direction. They transitioned their balance sheet. If you look at their balance sheet a year and a half ago versus their balance sheet today, in my opinion, it's not the best balance sheet in the business. That would not be a fair statement. It's the most improved balance sheet in the business, in my opinion. They went from, $160 million in debt or something to that effect. They've gotten rid of all of that debt. It's all gone, which they told us over a year ago. They said this debt will be gone before the halving. So that's another thing. They executed exactly as they told us they were going to. So if they continue to increase their exahash, even from the 6.5, this is more than a triple. So they should be mining more Bitcoin by the end of the year than they were at the beginning of the year if they can stick to this plan. So by doing so, if they're mining in the neighborhood of the same or more Bitcoin and Bitcoin continues its bull run, then, that's what I'm looking for out of a Bitcoin miner. So I didn't love that their CEO is leaving, but you'll see there were just a couple of key sentences in here. Okay. Pardon me if I mispronounce this, but Geoffrey Morphy, President, Chief Executive Officer, and Director, will be departing upon completion of an executive search and will lead the company during the interim. So he is going to stay on as the CEO, lead the company. He's going to head up an executive search to find his replacement. This is not the actions of a CEO that, where the company is dissatisfied with the CEO or the CEO is dissatisfied with the company. This does seem to be a very, amicable separation here. There's going to be some continuity. Now, I do think they'll move as expeditiously as possible to get a new CEO in. You don't want this looming over your head. The market doesn't love this stuff. Having said that, Bitfarms today, a lot of the day, they were behaving very well. They ended up 3%. They were up a bunch more than that earlier in the day, but they were green. But it should have been, most of these companies should have been green today. But to me, go ahead, George.
I was going to say, so I'm reading the notes. Somebody said that Jason was driving the ship and hit the bridge. Is that true?
That's not true.
Sorry.
I have no...
I'm just joking.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
You really like Bitfarms, don't you? It just seems like Bitfarms is vanilla. Does that make sense? Probably marathons like Rocky Road. They're getting better,
I see what you did there. It's a rocky road, but yeah.
It's a rocky road, right? Same with, we have to start comparing these to ice creams. Which one is, Riot's probably I don't know, Chunky Monkey or something like that.
Here's what I would say. All of these companies, so I could do I could put my other hat on and pick apart, Bitfarms and say they're not doing this and they're not doing that. So I'll just say a few of those things. They have 804 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They haven't added any in months. I don't think they plan on adding any in the short term. I don't love that piece of the puzzle. They have, they created a new position, a risk management person that's doing some, options, buying some Bitcoin options. I think those have actually paid off to some extent, but that is not the same as hodling a large stack of Bitcoin. So I am hopeful as the year goes on, if they can implement this plan, get to 21 exahash. And by the way, by the time they're at 21 exahash, I would think they'll probably have a plan in place, in my opinion, to talk about 2025, where they, I'm guessing they're going to look to get to 28 to 30 exahash in 2025. So that's not based on anything they've said. That's just based on the direction most of these larger, and Bitfarms has put themselves, there's 8 companies that have put themselves in a position to be really the big 8 Bitcoin miners that are publicly traded, all north of 20 exahash. Some of these companies are, Marathon's already over 28 exahash. There's several of these that have already expressed plans to get to 50 exahash. So to me, anybody under 20, and it's almost a gigantic drop off. Once you get past those 8 that have articulated their path to 20 exahash, and understand, that doesn't mean they're at 20 exahash, and it doesn't mean they're going to succeed on their plan to get there. But at least they have a strategy. And it's not someday over the rainbow strategy. These are, within Bitfarms' case, they've got very clearly delineated benchmarks to get from here to where they're going. So we're going to be able to judge them as we go all year. So I like that about them. I don't love that they don't have a big Bitcoin hodl. I'm hoping later they can start to add more Bitcoin to their balance sheet. I do think that's a part of being a successful Bitcoin miner stock. Right? So, it's one of the reasons that I think even though HUT may be meandering a little in some other ways, it's that, more than $500 million of Bitcoin on their balance sheet is, that's a foundation to build around. So I'd love to see Bitfarms start to move back in that direction. And it's one of the reasons I think CleanSpark took off to the moon. They had worked themselves down to 500 Bitcoin. They stayed there for, 8 or 10 months. And then, when they saw the time was right and we were out of the crypto winter, they switched gears and started banking Bitcoin. And I expect this month they're going to probably end up with more than 5,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And the way they're growing their exahash, they may be able to keep going.
Whoever is their analyst is pretty damn smart.
Whoever's
CleanSparks.
Oh, CleanSpark, as far as playing the holding and selling Bitcoin game, yeah, they've been spot on. They really, they got that just right. They dollar cost out of Bitcoin from its peak, and they used a lot of that to get. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. They were less than 1 exahash, and now they're at 16, about to be at 20, with plans to get to 30, 40, 50. And I think they will do that. And it's why their stock has so drastically outperformed all the rest of the Bitcoin mining companies over the last really 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. It's the runaway standout outperformer. Now today it was the opposite. It pulled back 8%, but that still doesn't change the fact.
Do you think it was really that it was companies that weren't supposed to really be in it? You know what I mean? Or just didn't want to admit that they were in it as deep as, you know what I mean?
I think the rebalancing is real. I mean, a lot of these companies rebalance their portfolio at the end of the quarter, and this is the last day of the quarter. And, CleanSpark, there's a lot of these companies. I'll tell you, so I don't rebalance. I bought my CleanSpark. I'm holding my CleanSpark. I have a price target for my CleanSpark. I'm not accountable to somebody else where I have to rebalance, but it's disproportionately larger portion of my portfolio than I expected. But that's because I'm up, 500% on CleanSpark. So, and I'm not anything like that on any of the other. In second place is Bitfarms, and I'm up maybe 150%. So I'm still in the red on some of my Bitcoin miners.
So then, I know we didn't tell anybody about your strategy, and I'm going to call you out on it, but did you do what we talked about with calls, the covered calls?
I did not.
Oh, you would have cleaned up, dude.
I know. It would have been the Grand Slam home run of all time. So, right. We had talked about buying some covered calls at 25.
Yep, 25.
That would have just, for CleanSpark, and that would have been money in the bank.
You could have got out of them already, too.
And, yeah, I mean...
You know what I mean? I mean, no sense of letting them run.
So I did not do that. I miss a lot of moves. I'm very much a buy and hold. I hardly ever sell anything at all. I do have exits. You can't never sell anything. So I do have exit strategies, but I'm usually, I try to get into things that are going to make significant moves, and that usually takes a little while, right? We just went through a crypto winter. So, I've been dollar cost averaging in through an entire crypto winter, and so now for some of these, I've told everybody, I know I've told the members several times, I'm done buying CleanSpark. I'm done buying Bitfarms. I dollar cost averaged into those more than any other of the Bitcoin miners. And, those are, CleanSpark's the #1 best performer by a mile, and Bitfarms is, over the last 9 months, the 3rd best performing of all the Bitcoin mining companies. So, I won't buy, and they're still 2 of my highest conviction plays. They just, we started this by talking about rebalancing portfolios. I'm just going to leave them as outsized large positions, and on days like today, I'm going to cry in my soup because my biggest position was down 8% today. And it wasn't anything they did. It wasn't, on news, nothing. It's just, but I'm not selling it today. I'm not selling it 3 months from now or 6 months from now. I will reiterate that by the end of, I have exit strategies for these. So by the end of what I think is going to be this, and it's the same thing, I'm not going to try and pick the top and sell them all on one day. I will dollar cost average out of these probably, you know, over the course of between 8 and 12 months. But, you know, I don't think I'm close to even starting that process right now. So if things don't work out the way that I plan, I'll be holding, you know, I'll be a bag holder, as everybody always likes to call it. But if this goes the way I plan, you know, we'll see. The best laid plans. We'll see what happens. But that's my strategy. Dollar cost average out, you know, as Bitcoin starts to take a run at its, what, you know, the peak of the next bull market. And I won't wait until the peak. Midway, thank you for being a member. Thanks for the super chat. Do you have any thoughts on BitDeer near $7 and their recent press release alluding to possible big exahash growth? So I do have, I think that's 2 or 3 down my list. I have, this list goes on. I've got 2 or 3 more on my little side panel. So BitDeer is on my list. So yes, I do. So I don't own any BitDeer. BitDeer mystifies me. And they did have a nice press release. So I'll jump ahead, even though that's on the list, because Midway, you are a member and gave a super chat. So we'll just quickly talk about that. I liked this press release, but this company is still a little bit of a head scratcher to me because they have a lot. First of all, they're in Singapore, and that's fine, but their reporting is different than what I'm used to. So we get a little less information. It's presented a little bit differently. So that always, you know, makes it harder for me to have the same level of conviction. All right. They did put out this press release on March 26th. So I think that was Tuesday. And so this is worth talking about. And this is the type of thing I'd like to see from Hut. And it sounds like they may have talked about that on their conference call. And maybe there's something like this coming from Hut. So BitDeer, a world-leading technology company for blockchain and high-performance computing, today announced a hash rate expansion plan of approximately 3.4 exahash as a first step in a plan to expand its self-mining. So 3.4 exahash is a big increase. They were only at like 6 or 7 exahash. They're talking about a 3.4 expansion, and that being their first step. So I like all of that. To me, that's what I'm waiting to hear. That part I like. The part that gets confusing is they have 3 different things at least. They have self-mining, they have hosting, and then they have this cloud mining that, you know, is a part of what they call, you'll see here, total proprietary hash rate. So their total proprietary hash rate is made up of their self-mining machines as well as this cloud mining that I don't totally have my head wrapped around. So they're talking about that going from 8.4 exahash to 11.8 exahash. Then they talk about several similar expansions for its mining hash rate are expected to follow in subsequent quarters until the end of 2025. The company estimates that it will feasibly add 30 to 40 exahash in its mining data centers to be operational in 2025 and replace an estimated 7 exahash of existing generation mining rigs with newer generation ones. So that's important to, you know, switching out the old machines to newer ones because, you know, obviously with the reward being cut in half, you've got to have these more efficient means. And then they finish by saying 46 exahash by the end of 2025. The issue that I have is I don't know how much of that is going to be self-mining, right? This is going to be their total under management, but what portion of that's going to be self-mining and not just proprietary mining? Because I don't know what the heck this cloud mining is. I don't know its profitability versus, you know, I like to look at that self-mining number. That's where I think the gross profit's going to come from, much more so than hosting or any of these other things. So this was a good step in the right direction. I don't own this company, but I did like this press release. This press release came out this week. And these are the types of things I'm looking for. I still have some more questions about this company in particular. And again, because I have such a high level of conviction in several other Bitcoin miners and have spent years building out positions in other Bitcoin miners, it would really take, something something exceptional for me to start adding a new position to a new Bitcoin miner. But that doesn't mean that it's not a good buy. And this is a part of why we always say, and everybody always says, not financial advice, don't do what I do. And the reason is because we are all in totally different situations. I've been dollar cost averaging into certain miners for years, so I'm already heavier than I ever expected to be in Bitcoin mining companies. So, for me to go buy the next new Bitcoin stock is totally different than somebody who may be in the beginning or in the middle of building out their positions, right? And if you only have one or two positions and you want to do a little diversification, you'd be looking at some new companies. But I've already been through all that part of it with this portion of my portfolio. So that's why we're all in different situations. So, there's a lot of different ways to win, I think, in this bull market that I think we're in the middle of, right? We're already up. Bitcoin's already up like way over 300% from the bottom, over 400% now, I think. So with a lot more to come, right? We just got back to the all-time high. We're still struggling to get that true breakout. We've been hanging around our previous all-time high from the previous bull market. We got there. This is the earliest we've ever gotten to that. We've never done that before a halving. So in a lot of ways, we're ahead of the game, and things are going well. So I think there's a reason to be optimistic, in my opinion. I remain optimistic. How about you, George?
Yes. I don't know. I'm still waiting for the breakout. I thought it was going to happen this week. I'll be honest with you. It's good to know that nothing really happened with Sam Bankman-Fried, who got the gift of only 25 years. Which I think he will be excused before the end of a current person in office.
Oh, you think there may be a pardon in his future?
Oh, yes, I do.
Well,
I mean, come on. We know. When you know, you know. He didn't say anything. He shut up, and he did exactly what he was supposed to do.
so you think he will be rewarded for that? Well, today was not the reward. That is also later on my list, but as long as you brought it up,
I can't see your list, Tom. It ended after Bitfarms and Marathon News.
I can only fit 5 on a page, so I'll switch to the. Hold on.
Next page. There's another page, guys.
This
is like halftime.
What happened?
It is a big call. I mean.
Oh, here we go.
I'm not saying nothing. I don't know. Me know nothing. I used to watch MASH. I know nothing.
That was not MASH.
Wasn't it?
What was the name of that show? Drop in the comments if you know.
No, that one, the army one.
It was an army one, but it wasn't MASH. I know,
what was it?
Not the Colonel Clink or something like that.
Yeah, Colonel Clink. That was in there.
That was not MASH.
Oh, I thought that. See, when you get older, it kind of blends in together, guys.
Somebody's going to know the name of that. I don't know why I'm blanking it out right now, but
wow, look at this new. Wow, Tom, this is like insane.
What?
Taxi?
Huh? No, it was
like
not. Taxi was a great show, but that's not it.
No, it was like German. They're prisoners. They were prisoners over in Germany.
Hogan's Heroes.
Oh, that's it. Hogan's Theory. That was so fun. What a great show that was.
Microstrategy. Edmund got it. Just nice job.
That was the best show ever. You know that? I mean, it wasn't the best show ever, but it was a really good show at the time.
A bunch of people got it just as we talked about it. So good job. 3 different members remembered that one.
I know nothing. Another 4 or 5. So you kind of didn't you kind of do BT DR?
BitDeer. we just did ahead because I think it was Midway asked, and it happened to be coming right up. So see, it was next. Who knew?
Who knew?
So let's go to the next one because this was the big mover on the day. Let me find it. Argo Blockchain. The first I want to do one thing real quick with Argo. I want to look at their chart on the 1 hour because, yeah, see, look, this happened. This move happened, and wow, it even pulled back off of its high. This happened at the end of the day. I mean, Argo was having a great day all day, but not like this. This is the last 30 minutes of the day. Let's go to the 15. Was it the last 15? This is the last 15 minutes of the day. Let's keep going.
Do you think it was just people?
The last 10 minutes of the day.
Wow.
This thing went ballistic. Let's add the volume. Somebody, somewhere went bananas in the last 10 minutes of the day. 5 minutes? No. So it ran up, and then it pulled back just a little, which we see if we go to the 10-minute candle. You get this candle wick. So
what percentage is that, Tom?
That candle? I mean, it was up 35% even after the pullback.
Oh, wow.
So, that was the outperformer of the day by a mile. Argo Blockchain announces closing on sale of Maribel /TVR. So, Argo is pleased to announce that it has closed on the previously announced sale of its data center located in Maribel, Quebec, for total consideration of $6.1 million. Quote the transaction. Net proceeds from the transaction were used to first repay the mortgage of $1.4 million, with the remainder used to repay debt owed to Galaxy Digital. As of March 28th, reflecting the payment made to Galaxy from the proceeds of the transaction and inclusive of the ordinary course monthly amortization payments for March, the Galaxy debt balance is $12.8 million. That is a 63% reduction from the original Galaxy debt balance of $35 million. So this is a company, for those of you who have followed Argo Blockchain, they've been around a long time. They had big plans in Texas. Things did not work out. They had to sell their facility. They've been reorganizing, regrouping. This is a part of that plan. So obviously this kicked off $6 million in cash. And more importantly, they go on. I'm just going to read one more sentence if I can find it. The company continues to execute a strategy to strengthen the balance sheet and reducing its non-mining operating expenses. So they were able to keep all their machines up and running, get rid of this asset, get $6 million in much needed cash, and clearly the market really, really liked this, particularly for whatever reason in the last 10 minutes of the day. So we'll see if there's a giant pullback on Monday because, if I go to the 1 hour, where's the beginning of the day here? So this is the beginning of the day. So, it was doing very well. At one point in the middle of the day, this was up 22%. At the peak, this was up like 56% with a few minutes left in the day, and then it pulled back to 35%, which is a massive move to the. So don't be surprised. Sometimes when this happens, this reverses itself on Monday, but we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. That's total speculation. Either way, the market liked this. It's clearly a good thing for them, so they continue to find ways to improve and try and survive and live, to fight another day. But this is one of the companies that, had big plans. And now they're really, unfortunately, they're just if we look at them, well, they're $125 million market cap with today's run up of 35%. So, but this is still, a very small, versus the big miners, this is a very small company. it's not what it was. We'll see if they can find a way to regroup and get. I don't see their path. Again, never mind 20 exahash. They don't have a path to 10 exahash or even 5 exahash. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with Argo. But at least for today, the market was very pleased with them. CleanSpark to 100 said, why the ads on the live stream? Normally never on. So there's no... I don't know what the answer to that is. We have not changed any settings. We've done nothing different than we've ever done on any other live stream. I mean, this is like our 500th live stream, so I don't know what's going on different today. Whatever it is, I guess it's a YouTube thing. Are you guys getting ads like in the middle of the stream? It's stopping and giving you an ad? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just writing it down. But it's nothing we did here on our end. We're just doing one of our regular live streams. If something different is going on, we can look into it. Did not know. I didn't know that was happening.
So what Tom's saying is, I know nothing.
We've come full circle. I know nothing. No, I don't. In this instance, I don't. But we'll try to find out if there's some other. I know it's not anything that we did. We did add this little thing on here, but this has nothing to do with any settings like that.
Yeah, that was all in-house.
Yes. Okay, so George, your all-time favorite company, and if Duckman is out there, what's his name?
Stronghold.
They had some news, so we got to go through.
Well, hang on. Before we leave.
Okay, go ahead.
ARBK. Why would it do that? Why would it go ballistic? Just because people are excited, or they think there's an opportunity there, or
I don't think this is exuberance from the market thinking, wow, this is now like I don't know the answer to that. A couple of different things. I maybe some shorts threw in the towel at the end of the trading day today. It's the end of the quarter. It's a long weekend, and Argo just had some good news, and now if Bitcoin runs over the weekend, maybe some shorts were afraid. I just don't. With this news, it's not worth it. I don't know. That's total speculation. It's a very small company, so their volume, even overall with that big volume spike at the end of the day, they had 2.5 million versus just about 1 million normally. So it was significantly higher volume. And, if we look, I don't know if I can get onto that.
I'm just curious. I mean, that's the stuff that...
It looks like a lot of this volume, the majority of the day's volume was in the last 15 minutes of the day here. So, I don't know. I don't know if these are shorts getting out. I can't imagine somebody at the very end of the day was like, I just gotta get me 1 million shares of Argo Blockchain, but I don't know.
Could there be other news that's going to come out, and that's... Or you don't know.
No, there's no. I mean, if somebody knew that, then they're trading on insider trading. I mean,
that never happens. I know.
I don't ever believe anything inappropriate ever happens.
Just curious. Okay, sorry. Now, Stronghold.
All right, I did skip Marathon, and I'm seeing
you did?
Karen asking me to go back because I did not go through the Marathon news, and then we will go to the Stronghold news. I switched screens before. Marathon Digital Holding unveils a 2-phase immersion cooling system to optimize data center operations. We did talk about this with the members, but this happened this week. This was also on Tuesday. So I do think this could be big news. I'm just going to quickly go through some of the highlights here. Marathon is innovating. So this is the third press release they've come out with some, technology type innovation that's their own internal stuff. And I was a little skeptical, but you know, these things are starting to add up, and this seems like good stuff right here. So, let's see. Today announced the Mara 2 PIC 700, a next-generation two-phase immersion cooling system built to transform data center operations with industry-leading power, density, and efficiency. So it's important to understand, this is a two-phase immersion cooling system. This is not an ASIC miner. This is not their own miner that they're putting out. This is for data centers. Now, obviously, Bitcoin miners are in data centers. So, the first place they're going to use this is for themselves in their own data centers. But they do plan on introducing this to sell to the marketplace. And here's some of the specs on this, because, if it does what it says it does, this seems to be, I hate to use game-changing, that term is thrown around a lot, but this seems like a very positive development. Compared to current alternatives, Mara's 2 PIC 700 enables 2 to 4 times the power density and can reduce the space requirements for a data center by up to 75%. So I always like to pay attention to the words up to, right? If you've ever gone to a sale back when we used to actually go out into the real world and buy things, you'd go to a store, and there was a particular sporting goods store that I won't name by name that always used to have, they were running a sale all year up to 90% off. Well, that means that somewhere in that store there was at least one item that was 90% off. So, most of the stuff was 5% off, 10% off. So anyway, I always like to be careful about up to. But 75%, even if this is 40%, that's a dramatic improvement. So, and maybe it really is 75%. So I don't know. I guess obviously it depends on what they're comparing it to, but it seems like a significant reduction in the amount of space requirements. It can operate in temperatures ranging from minus 20 degrees Celsius to positive 50 degrees Celsius. So some, minus 20 degrees Celsius is, that's extreme. These are extreme temperatures. So it seems like it can withstand extreme temperatures. As a result, the system can enable data centers to be built and operated in remote or harsh climates that were previously inaccessible. And Marathon has talked about, all this stranded energy in remote locations that they want to try to utilize. So, this, in addition to the rest of the world doing this, I know they want to use this themselves to grow their business. So for Bitcoin mining specifically, the Mara 2 PIC 700 enables ASIC miners to be overclocked by 60 to 100% and can enable up to 60% reduction in cooling costs, even under the most extreme conditions. So, like, overclocking by 60 to 100% I've never even heard of overclocking something 60 to 100%. So again, I don't know, maybe some combination of these things, even if it, reduces the space by 30% and you can overclock by 30%. Those would be big deals for Bitcoin miners who are looking for every possible advantage right now to reduce their energy cost per coin. So this seems like it has a lot of potential. Let's see them implement it. Let's see them execute on this and see if this shows up in their gross profit over time. Then we'll know that this operates the way that they hope it operates and, per the specifications that they believe it's going to do. But, if they can convert some portion of their fleet to this, go ahead, George.
I got to interject real quick. No, I don't think Tom will get mad at this, but Sebastian did a really good report on this. If anybody wants to check that out,
yeah, please. For those of you,
it was really, really good. I think if Sour and I were watching it, Sour Melon Gaming. But here's what I don't like about it, Tom. You know what I don't like about it?
What?
You got to turn it off. Let's say one of the machines stopped working. You got to turn it all off
to extract that one machine.
Yeah, because it's supposed to. You know, it's like a radiator is probably the best way to give you an example. It's an, you know, and the machines are inside the radiator. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if one machine goes bad, not saying that ever happens, right?
I mean, that's kind of a downside.
Yeah,
That's a regular occurrence.
I know.
But they talked about, Fred talked about this being something that would help prevent, a lot of typically required maintenance on these machines. So maybe they're hoping, that's going to be a much less frequent event. I don't know, but yeah,
Well,
that's a potential downside for sure.
that's what they're hoping, because the one thing I would say is that when I was at CleanSpark, we were talking about the different oils that they're using in their immersion cooling, right?
Yep.
And they haven't like dialed it in 100% yet, but I mean they've dialed it in. So, they're going to have all those problems to worry about too. How heavy to make it, how, you know what I mean? How heavy is the oil, the gauge thickness of the oil. I mean, it gets really technical stuff.
Well, and yeah, I mean these data centers are massive. So there's going to be a learning curve. There's a lot of technical expertise necessary. They're going to have to go through this process. And that's why I say we're going to see. We're going to see if it's up to 75%. And, this overclocking 60 to 100%, that scares the daylights out of me.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about machines going down, you overclocking your machine 100%? How much does that increase the odds of
failure?
maintenance? But their point is they're saying, no, it won't. They'll be able to operate just fine at that. So time will tell, and it probably, like everything, it won't be, it may not be everything they hoped it will be, but it just does seem to be like a good thing.
Which,
Not
it's
necessarily.
just sad that it's just sad that it's taken this long to get to that position. You know what I mean?
Well, they're innovating.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It could have been innovating all along, is what I'm saying.
And I mean, to your point that you may also be alluding to, this is a part of, they were asset light, if you will, and they didn't do any of this stuff. So now all of a sudden they got to reinvent the wheel, but they are trying to do this better than everybody else. My big question was, whatever revenue stream this generates seems like it will be immaterial versus if this does what they say it does, the potential advantage they would have over their competition. I would make this proprietary and keep it to myself. If it did every single thing that they just said, that's what I would do if I was them. But I'm not them. So those are my thoughts. I mean, they've got a steady stream of these things coming out. In addition to that, they've got, we're about to get their numbers as well. Now, everyone's expecting March to be another rough month for them. They had a lot of downtime. Again, this will be 3 months in a row of underperformance, operationally speaking, from Marathon. I just, for me, that does not scare me. I don't like it. I don't love it. I don't like it, but it doesn't scare me. The short report that came out that we talked about earlier was talking about, they're worried about their ability to perform going forward. To me, there's bumps in the road. They've had these in the past. Then they had a period of time where they were doing, operationally they were doing very well, and now they're having some more bumps in the road. That's how this goes. I don't see that. I don't think the last 3 months is a fundamental shift, and they will now have an inability to, perform going forward. And they've already let us know they're putting massive resources to bring all this stuff in-house and make sure these bumps don't happen in the long term as a company. So to me, this also, in my opinion, is one of the companies that's going to be a winner in this, in this bull cycle.
I mean, when you get all that money, how can you fail?
Right. They've got somewhere plus or minus of $1 billion of liquidity. They've got just about 17. They'll have over 17,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet when they report next week. I mean, this is financially a strong company, and they've got the most exahash by a mile. They've got plans to continue to, stay the largest. There's I won't say several. There's 3 other companies that have plans to try to make a run at them, but we'll see. Right now they mine the most, although last month for the first time in like 10 months, they mined a little. They were in second place, not first. But in general, they have the most exahash. They mine the most. Them and Riot by far have the biggest amount of liquidity on their balance sheets. So mostly positive in my mind. Darren saying McNally Money's interview on Wolf was, I think this all means good stuff. So a lot of you probably know McNally Money. So you can check that out also. Okay, now Stronghold, George.
Stronghold!
So
what happened to them today?
So this is speculation. I won't say speculation. I will say that this is an unknown. So I'm bringing it up. Crypto miner in Pennsylvania hit with a lawsuit over pollution from Bitcoin mine. So this came out on Tuesday. This is a company that George and I like a lot, not so much necessarily as a stock to own, but as a company that, by all accounts, if you look at what they're doing, and I'll start at the end. Stronghold's response to this is, quote, Stronghold's facilities have cleaned up millions of tons of waste coal and reclaimed over 1,000 acres of once blighted land, now sports fields, parks, and fishing spots for local communities. So that's from a Stronghold spokesperson. Somebody here is suing both Stronghold, I believe, and the state of Pennsylvania. An environmental community group on Tuesday sued Stronghold, claiming the company's Bitcoin mining in northeastern Pennsylvania that burns waste coal and old tires. I don't even know where they get old tires. I don't know what kind of minuscule percent of what they're doing. If you go to their website and look at what you're doing, you'll see this seems like a salacious statement. If that happens to be 0.001% of what's going on, I don't think it's fair to throw in there. I don't know that number. I'm obviously just pulling that number off the top of my head. But you can see there's what was it, like 500 billion tons of waste.
Yeah, ash. Yeah.
From the last 100 and whatever years of mining coal, and they're taking that and they say they're recycling it. They're getting energy from it. Part of that they're mining Bitcoin with. So these people are saying, wait a second.
Who's suing them?
An environmental community group. The lawsuit by Save Carbon County. The lawsuit by Save Carbon County, filed in the state court of Pennsylvania, also named Pennsylvania as a defendant. The group, a nonprofit whose members live near the Bitcoin mine, is seeking compensatory and punitive damages from the company and an order directing
$1 million. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't say how much. And an order directing the state to stop allowing the pollution to continue. So, I guess
Kevin O'Leary in there at all? With those dirty miners?
That's right. That was
dirty
his
Bitcoin
quote.
Miners?
So I don't know.
Can you imagine if I ever ran for politics, Tom?
No.
Did you ever say dirty miners?
I don't know what to make of this. Here's what I will say. I guess time will tell. A lot of people sue a lot of people. So we're going to find out. It would appear by all accounts.
That's just not good for them,
No,
weren't they up today?
So let's take a look. Yeah, and this was a couple of days ago. So they were up 7, almost 8% today.
Yeah.
So let's look at their chart over the last few days and see if this even really had an impact or if people just weren't buying it.
Cleanspark still getting trashed after hours.
So, I mean, this wasn't really even necessarily a blip. So this was the day this came out. So they had a little bit of a down day, and they're down on the week, but nothing. I mean, they're down 2% on the week. So I don't think this had a big impact. And again, you know, got to, I won't say the benefit of the doubt. If you're trading in stocks, you got to go with whatever, you know, whatever you decide. But this is obviously the beginning of a process. This seems to be a company that's cleaning things up, but we'll see what happens. To be determined. Oh, my buttons are all over the place. All right, so.
You got buttons?
ETF flow. That's next on our list. So if you guys, this is the last 3 weeks. And obviously this is only Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week because today's Thursday, so we don't know the results. And then tomorrow there will be no ETF flows because they're closed. The market is closed tomorrow. 2 weeks ago was the record inflows for the ETFs. The best day ever, the only $1 billion plus day, was March 12th. The second best day ever was the next day. All 5 days last week there were outflows. All of these outflows, I won't say all of them, you'll see some spotted red here and there, but 99% of the outflows are out of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. That still continues this week. Monday, $350 million of outflow. Tuesday, $212 million. Yesterday, $300 million of outflows. But despite that, Tuesday, net of that, we still had $400 million of inflows in the ETFs, and then Wednesday, $243 million of inflows. So, as always, a lot of that is BlackRock. On Tuesday, it was BlackRock and Fidelity. Those are the two big ones by far. There's 4 of these that are breaking away from the pack. You'll see BlackRock, total assets, $17 billion. Fidelity, just under $10 billion. Bitwise, over $2 billion. ARK Invest, over $3 billion. That represents the majority. The drop-off from there is from $2 billion down to $400 million. Well, there's some of these in the $400 and $500 million range. But, you know, the big ones are over here. Everybody looks at BlackRock every day, but, you know, in reality, Fidelity's got about $10 billion as well. So, and $3 billion and $2 billion, these are big ETFs. So, this is a story that will continue. You know, last week, I think there was some panic. We had all 5 days we had outflows. So, for whatever reason, things slowed down for a minute. It seems like we're back up and running. So there will be ebbs and flows in this, as everything. But in general, I think you're just going to keep seeing these ETFs increase the amount of assets under management. I think this has only just begun. And, you know, this has years and years of growth, in my opinion, ahead of it. So still remains, to me, a very, very bullish part of this Bitcoin cycle that we're in. And it's one of the reasons we're just not having, you know, these... so far, we have not had anything over a 23% pullback in the last 16 months. Now, the ETFs have only been around for a couple of those months. But we, you know, for those of you who have been cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, the Bitcoin miners, we're used to a lot more vicious volatility than even this. You know, regular 20% pullbacks has been the new norm this time around. It may get worse than that as things accelerate to the upside. We may get back to these 30 or 35% pullbacks. In the last bull market, we had a 55% pullback right in the middle. So, you know, those are brutal. Those are terrifying, you know, all those things. So we'll see if those happen. But with these ETFs buying and all the other adoption, I'm just not sure that's what's ahead for us, you know, in my opinion. So while we're looking at that, the next thing basically ties into it. You can see, you know, we talked about, let me go back to this list. If you look at Grayscale, this is just a sea of red. Every single day, outflows, and that's been the case every single day since the Grayscale Trust was turned into a spot ETF. There have been outflows. There were a few days where it died down to smaller numbers. You'll see one of them on this list was only 79 million in outflows, but you know, they've been averaging 300, 400, 500 million dollars a day. They had a day here that was 642 million dollars. So the thing is, there's still massive inflows despite that. And if we go to Grayscale, they now have, we'll round up to 340,000 Bitcoin. Well, when this converted, they had 620,000 Bitcoin. So they've sold 280,000 Bitcoin. They have 340,000 left, still a little bit more than half of their stack. But you can see this is dwindling. So even if it keeps at this pace, let's say they just keep having 200, 300, 400, 500 million dollars a day outflow. This has a clock on it. This will end because ultimately, right, if they don't change something, and by something I mean this, their fee is 1.5%. They're competing against a lot of companies who are waiving their fees altogether in the short term, and then, you know, their fees are 0.2% or 0.25%. So until they change this, they're just going to keep getting outflows. They may just let this evaporate. I don't know. I mean, at some point, I don't know what they're waiting for and what they're holding on to. So my point being, this has a clock on it. This will end.
Who wrote that? Where did it go? Somebody just, CleanSpark just announced a at the marketing offer.
CleanSpark files $800 million at the market offering effective now. So let's see if we can get a quick press release on that and read the highlights.
Ouch.
They had an at the market offering open. Didn't they just do a $750 million at the market offering like a couple of weeks ago? Or
yeah, Tom, you know what?
What?
You should have done your covered calls.
Thanks for the... I'm not seeing a SEC filing on this. I can dig deeper. Are you seeing an SEC filing that happened on that? CleanSpark to 100? Let us know where you're seeing that, because... And let me see. Let's go back to... Was it a $500 million offering? They just
Yeah, they just did one, yeah.
Well, I'll have to find that. But they had a big offering, so let me know the details if this is
Jeff,
new and there's
you
more.
did say that. Jeff said that. He goes, "Does CleanSpark probably gonna do an at-the-shelf marketing offer?" Gee, I hate those things.
Nobody likes them, but they serve.
What do you think it could bring it down to? Is this just knee-jerk?
First of all, I want to see the offering. So far, I'm not, they're not necessarily, they don't have to do a press release for these. And a lot of times they don't do press release for these. It's not good press. They've done this, it sounds like, at the end of the business day on a 3-day weekend if they did this. I don't see the SEC filing yet. I'm only looking on Yahoo, so I can dig deeper than that. But, this does... Riot just did a $750 million offering within the last 2 weeks. Marathon just did a $1.5 billion offering within the last 2 weeks.
Sneaking back up.
Bitfarms just did a... So, yeah, I mean, here's your evidence right here. So I haven't found it, but the rest of the world did because we're down 10% after hours. So, and after hours is always, be careful of after hours. But, if they did do this, then there probably will be a knee-jerk reaction to this, and it can suppress, the price of the stock, like we saw with Riot and Marathon. Riot and Marathon are living this out right now, right? Their stock has not run with the others because of these gigantic at-the-market offerings. So, if CleanSpark has joined the list with one that size, then they're probably going to have a similar fate for the short term. So this doesn't change this doesn't change anything in my mind, right? We talk a lot more on the members only live stream. We know these stock dilutions are coming. There's CleanSpark has talked about getting to 50 exahash. So they just got to 16 exahash last month. There's a long way from 16 to 50. So, you know, that's where that money will ultimately go. How long it takes them to get there, you know, we'll see. So more to come on that.
Wait a second. Didn't somebody just say that what's his name sold $9 million worth of CleanSpark stock yesterday?
Who?
Somebody in the chat said it. Who? The CEO, your buddy, the one you interviewed last.
Matt,
yeah.
Well, I can tell you
Ooh.
this. I mean, those guys aren't allowed to just spur of the moment sell shares. So that was a planned sale.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know.
Quote,
you're
unquote.
The one. It was planned all right. Wow. Who? Yeah, he really did too. Matt Schultz. Yep. Yes, he did. Crypto Fever.
Well, listen, this is my biggest position. Right here.
1885, dude. It just went to 1885.
And this hit $24 today. So rough day for CleanSpark.
Wow.
We'll see where this goes after hours. And then we got a long weekend to sit on this news.
Would you buy any more CleanSpark if it got down to the $9?
I'll tell you this. If it's still sitting here on Monday, I would buy options.
Would you?
Somewhere out, 6 months plus. So I'll look at those over the weekend and try and hone in on some options. And, if there's...
It was on TradingView, according to Wes. Thanks, Wes. Yeah, this was planned weeks ago.
I mean, I'm sure, obviously, management knew this. They don't just have a meeting last night and go, let's go do this. So, yeah, I mean, that's a gigantic at-the-market offering. And they've...
Can you look up to see when he sold? Under...
I mean, it should be... Well, it won't... doesn't...
You don't think it'll show it right there?
No.
Oh, I know nothing. You see? Yep. That's what Matt said. I know nothing. Matt Pelosi. You guys are so funny.
I mean, if you look, let's see if TradingView shows this. I think they have a line for after hours. I think, yep. So see this blue line? That's what's going on. I believe this is their after hours. So, I mean, if you look from the peak yesterday until after hours today, this is a 25% move to the downside.
Ouch.
For CleanSpark. So, and the funny part is they'll still be drastically outperforming all the other Bitcoin miners over the last 90 days, even with this after hours move. Now, having said that, this hurts me. This is not fun. Right? This was a bad move down today, and it looks like Monday may be another one. Now, ultimately, hopefully, if they do this right and they put this to use and they get where they're going, I may very well consider buying some anywhere from 6 month to maybe full-blown leap options. I just said I'm not
going to laugh. So I sold some, right? I sold 19 shares. I put a limit on it, because you can't after hours. You cannot not put a limit on.
Right. Yes.
And so I sold it for 19.40, and now it's 18.62. And I sold 18 shares.
Yeah, this is dropping. This is dropping like a rock. Yeah, because they're a $4 billion company. I mean, $800 million is 20% dilution at what was the current price. So
I can't do this. Crypto just sent me the information, but I'm not going to give it to Tom.
Down 14% now. We're down around, getting close to $18.
Dude,
Hey,
he sold yesterday, Tom. You
yesterday.
can't do. It's against the law. You can't do that.
If this was a part of a structured sale that he filed with the SEC, then he can do
Tom,
it.
he basically just did insider information. He is not allowed to sell 24 hours before. I'm going to argue. Dude, would you like me to call the SEC or shall I?
Well, you don't have to call him because he's filed that with the SEC already. Now,
Right.
it's a very bad look. There is
this
no
is a
question about that.
You can't. There's no way he can't file. He had insider information, Tom. He knew it was coming out today. You don't think he knew? He's the one that had to sign it and approve it.
He's a big part as the CEO. He's obviously a big part of the process of this. Listen. This is my number one position. I don't love what's happened here, but all I can tell you is, I mean, they're not going to get him for insider trading. If he sold those shares, then
explain to me how it's fair. Because anybody on your stream,
the F word. You just said the F word.
No. Anybody on the stream right now, if they said that they were going to do an $800 million market offering today, how they would all have sold today. Everybody would have sold. They would have sold yesterday when he sold.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I will never argue that that's fair. I will never argue that the stock market is fair. And it's not a good look. All those things are true. So I'm not. All I'm saying is this is how it works. The optics of this are horrendous, but this is how it works. The day before is very, that is going to be frowned upon, to say the least.
Barry C, thank you so much.
Welcome to Talkin Investing.
Oh yeah, Barry, thank you. That's very nice of you, and congratulations and welcome, Land Shark, Donald,
Welcome
Defcon,
to Talkin Investing.
Trade Goat, and Corey. I believe got the 5 gifted Talkin Investing memberships. So don't get me wrong, George. I don't like this. I think it's awful. I think it's a terrible look.
All right, welcome to Talkin Investing.
And I'll tell you what the worst look for me is my portfolio.
Yeah. I mean,
this literally is my biggest position. So.
Dude, it crushed me. I mean, I thought Matt and I were tight, bastard. I just have it came back. It's coming back a little now.
We'll
it's
see.
At 1849. Hey, it could be the best opportunity in the world, guys, because it could, Bitcoin's probably going to 100,000 a year in a few months.
This could very much slow down Cleanspark's stock trajectory. But if you guys remember at the beginning of the stream or earlier in the stream, I talked about the fact that I don't plan on selling any of this stock for the next 6 or 8 months at least. So, all's well that ends well if they do the right thing with this at the market offering. If they get to 16, if they're looking, I believe.
You're so funny. Just, guys, if you heard Tom talk to me, you'd be like, Tom, what do you say? We sat there and he contemplated selling all his CleanSpark the other day.
Not true. That is 100% false. That is
I said to you to do a covered call. Do covered calls on it. You were thinking about getting out of it because you said that it went up so much.
Nope. I said I'm thinking about when it hits its all-time high, potentially selling 5% of my position.
Did you sell 5% at least?
No. So,
oh my goodness.
And that's okay.
Tom needs a hug.
I'm not worried. I don't like this. I hate down days. I hate when my stocks go down. But I will tell you, sometimes there's nothing I can do. With Bitfarms and CleanSpark, when they go down, I have such big positions. I'm not going to dollar cost average in. But like I said, if I can find the right option, maybe I can capitalize on this. And I still, this doesn't change my price target for CleanSpark, but it is obviously, this is not fun having my biggest position got wrecked during the trading day and then got wrecked worse in after hours. So not a great day from that perspective. But they're looking to get to 28 exahash by the end of this year, if I remember correctly.
Ooh, they're selling. They're selling. It went back up to 19 something. Because I had them at 1940. I just sold a whole bunch. You know why? You know why? Oh, guys, you know what I just did, don't you? Because it's trading at 1891. So because I have that offer in, somebody did, what is it? A market offer? So I just sold another 20 shares.
20 shares?
I know, but hey, it still feels good.
It's bouncing all over the place. It's back to $18.75. We're micromanaging this as we look at it at the moment. We'll see where all of this lands. It's not going to be, I'm guessing this is not going to be a fun day on Monday for CleanSpark.
Do you think it'll go down more on Monday? Magic 8 Ball.
My guess is it won't be down 10% on Monday. And the other thing that happens is what's going to happen to Bitcoin over the 3-day weekend. So, that will also dictate. If Bitcoin starts to run some of this, and I think, announcing this after business on a 3-day weekend, their hope is Bitcoin runs over the weekend and this gets lost in the haze. But it's certainly not lost at the moment. This is tanking the stock as we speak. But I will remain... stay the course, work my plan, right? You guys, I've told you guys, my price target's much, much, much higher than this. And I do know, as much as stock dilution is painful, they're not going to get to 28 exahash and then 50 exahash without a lot of stock dilution. And we just watched Riot do a $750 million and Marathon do a $1.5 billion at the market offering in the last 2 weeks. So they have now joined the club.
Pull.
And those are the big three, right? So now the big three companies all have done gigantic at the market offerings. So is that going to cause all three of their stocks to go, sideways for a while? And we'll have to wait longer than we wanted to get where we're going? And yes, a lot of people are going to be mad at Matt if he sold a massive amount of shares yesterday. And they did a gigantic offering today and the stock tanked not once today, but twice. Then that does not look good. But it is what it is.
So... Ooh, listen to this one. Okay. I just did a poll. How much will CleanSpark go down on Monday? So are we going to start it from at the $18.70?
No, I
at
think
the $21.21?
I think it should be from the 21.21 where it closed the day today. Right? Because that's where it closed. So what is this ATM going to do to their stock on Monday? Darren S is saying the issue is they're diluting just to hodl. So they are increasing their hodl position. So you could argue that a portion of their dilution is to hodl, but that is a tiny, tiny, tiny portion. I mean, they're not hodling $800 million worth of Bitcoin. They're putting 500 or 600 Bitcoin on their balance sheet a month. So that's a very, very small amount. They're doing this. They've rolled out a plan to get to 50 exahash. So, with that plan comes stock dilution. This will forever be a gigantic topic on this channel because all of the companies that are going to succeed have either already done this or are going to do it, and they're going to continue to do it. I do think what you're seeing, I will add one thing that I have said before. I think particularly the big three companies, which is Marathon, Riot, and CleanSpark. I think they are biting the bullet, and they all have plans to get to a minimum of 50 exahash. Riot's talked about 100 exahash. Marathon's talked about 70 exahash. So what I think they're doing is right now growing to not only accommodate this halving, but the next halving. Because at some point, they cannot continue to 20, 30, 40, 50% dilute year after year after year. That is not a business model that works. So at some point, they got to get ahead of this curve and get to a critical mass size where the future dilutions are 5% dilutions. You know what I mean? Companies that have a 5% stock dilution, if they can get to the point where they're borrowing $300 or $400 million, and that's 3 or 4% of their company or whatever the case may be, that's a lot more manageable thing to do. So if they create the infrastructure right now to get to where they need to be for the next 5 or 6 or 7 years, that's a more workable business model. So they haven't said that out loud. I have been saying that recently. That's why I think you're seeing a few of these jump out to, talk about 50 exahash or 70 exahash or 100 exahash. When we follow 19 of these companies, most of the rest of these companies are talking about 5 or 6 exahash or 8 exahash. There's 8 of them in total that have 20 or more, and there's 3 that are talking about 50 or more. This is one of those 3, and if this is the pain and suffering it takes to get there, I guess that's a part of being a shareholder of a high growth company in this phase of the cycle. But some of you, we should do the next poll. Do you guys think that, so the 3 companies did similar things. If this is $800 million, Riot did $750 million, and Marathon did $1.5 billion. So we should do a poll. With that in mind, with those 3 companies doing new at-the-market offerings at those levels, which one would you, if you had to buy one, which one would you buy?
Hang on, give it another minute.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out. Wow, 18% right now. Think a 25 to 40% dip on Monday. That would be catastrophe. I would pick, and it's a very tough call for me, but I would pick 10%. I think this will hold. It's already down. It's down 11.5 right now, and we're still getting a lot of knee-jerk reaction. We'll see where this settles in. It depends on what Bitcoin does over the weekend. So I think, depending on the price of Bitcoin, I think it could be anywhere from 5 to 15%. I think scenarios worse than that, I find hard to believe, but by the end of the day, Monday, I could be proven totally wrong.
All I know is they're scumbags. I mean, we're just...
And that's your
At
opinion.
least but no, I can say they're scumbags. That's an opinion.
That's what I just said. It's your opinion.
No, if somebody sells a stock a day before, I get mad on the phone. You got Matt's cell. Oh, actually, I have Matt's cell phone number. Would you guys want me to try to get Matt on the phone?
Listen, what's done is done. What's he gonna do?
I know. No, hey guys, hey. Listen, guys, I can't talk right now. I just got out on my yacht. Okay, guys. Sorry. Not sorry. King Hayes, what happened was they just re-up there at the market offering? Tom?
I'm going to have to do... we were told there was an $800 million at the market offering announced after hours. I can look it up right now.
Trading View. Yeah, Trading View. That'd be funny, though, to do it. George, I really can't talk right now, guys. I know you want this news, but sorry. You like that one? Or at least call me at 4 o'clock and say, hey, George, we just did this right now. Tell everybody.
They can only tell everybody simultaneously.
That's what I said. We just did this right now. That's simultaneously.
I suppose that's true. That's their 10K.
Cleaned wallet. Not Cleanspark, cleaned wallet.
I don't know why this isn't jumping out at me. I don't want to waste your guys' time while I search around for this.
No, it's fine. We're having fun. 15 to 25%, 34%.
I mean,
I think Riot is looking.
15 makes some sense to me. 25 seems that's a big giant move.
Well, look, 17% think it could be more than 25%.
I know 17% are at 25 to 40%. I mean, that would be a bad day for me. If it's down 40%, I will dollar cost average in. I just got through saying I'm done dollar cost averaging into them, but I did not, that doesn't count a down 40% in one day scenario. And then even then, I still probably wouldn't. I would probably do it with options.
Now Riot's looking a lot better. It doesn't matter. Whatever. I mean, I made so much money on Cleanspark, it doesn't even matter.
That's the thing. Like, it doesn't make it feel any better. I mean,
No,
I'll still be up monstrously on CleanSpark, but that's old news. What the new news is I was down bad today, and I'll be down bad again on Monday.
Would you guys pay for just hit one if you guys would do this? If I made an API to grab information that was simultaneous, that said stuff like this, is it worth it to people? For like, so you could create with ChatGPT. Here's what's so amazing about ChatGPT. This is one of many. Trust me. There's a million things on why it's amazing, but you could create a program, an API that we can go and use this and use a script to go on TradingView, and when things are released about a certain company, boom, you can have that information instantaneously. And probably Aladdin does it like that. Tom's face has been getting whiter and whiter with the news.
I'm pulling it up.
Thanks, yeah.
I'm pulling up the file.
We could create a script so that if you had this stock, that you could just go to another website and find out, like, you want information on Marathon. Click 1. You know what's the information you want, because there's certain filings that they file, for this type of stuff, that you could take and have it trigger something so it's sent to your phone immediately. I know, that's what I'm saying. It seems unfair to me too.
So I'm trying to see. This is an amendment.
Ibashik, is that correct? Ibashik.
Let me show you guys what I'm looking at, and then let me see if I can find.
Tom, look at this, guys.
What?
Tom was able to bring something up.
I know. I see. I did it.
Live.
You saw my facial expression of what it took for me to get there, but
you got whiter and whiter.
As previously reported on January 5th, 2024, the company entered into an at-the-market agreement with H.C. Wainwright to create an at-the-market equity program, under which the company from time to time offer and sell shares of its common stock. But what doesn't say what what the price was, so I may have to pull it up. So on March 28th, today, the company entered into an amendment to the ATM, and together with the original at-the-market agreement, under the ATM agreement, the company may, but has no obligation to, following the filing of the prospectus, issue and sell up to the lesser number of shares of the company's stock that does not exceed $800 million of shares of common stock. What I would like to see is this is an amendment to one they just filed January 5th. So how much was that for? Was that a $500 million offering that they're amending to $800 million? Because that's what I have in my head, but I don't see that here. Do I need to keep reading? $800 million.
Jeff, we're not fudding nothing. This is real-time news that just came out.
Yeah, this just hit, and I just want to find out what really happened, because this is an at-the-market, this is an amendment to the shelf offering that they did on January 5th, just almost 3 months ago. What I would think would have been clearly stated in here is what was the original. So I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that, but we can see this. Here's the offering. It's $800 million. And that was today.
What happened to the companies that used to buy back their shares?
Haha. What happened indeed? Well, that won't be a Bitcoin mining company for many years to come.
So HUD's kind of screwing up, really, if you think about it. They should be doing this.
What, an at-the-market offering?
Absolutely.
It's ironic because you can't win for losing.
Right.
That's what I'm waiting for HUD to do. Hey, we're gonna go buy the next 8 exahash worth of machines, right? And then of course to do it,
they're talking about using their Bitcoin.
And I would prefer they did not do that. That would be my preference, but that's just me. Okay, so let's see. I think this is the original shelf offering.
I want to say something right now that I can't say. It'd be so funny though.
Okay, so here we go.
I'm laughing at my own joke though.
You're your own best audience.
Yeah. Uh-oh, Cypher's is now dropping too? Can you check to see if they have an offering? And you're right, Darren. I mean, Barry C. If I did make something like that, people would sue. They always sue.
Okay, so this is January 5th, 2024. Just for everybody. So remember, I said that just as soon as we said this. On January 5th, they did. This is a $500 million offering on January 5th. So what happened today is they amended this and they said it won't be 500 million, it will be 800 million. So this is not a fresh 800 million on top of the $500 million.
Oh, they just went another 300 million?
Right. So this already existed. So that leads me even more to believe that, and I don't want to try to guess the short term of what the market's going to do because I'll be wrong, as I always am.
Yeah, that actually makes it a lot better, Tom.
I think the market's probably making a knee-jerk response to this and not understanding what happened, which is so frequently the case. So it is news, but this is an amendment. They just put out a $500 million shelf offering on January 5th. They have now amended that from $500 million up to $800 million.
So I guess what bothers me is this. The way it was done. They should have said they have funded X number of dollars or so many dollars of the 500 or close it out and
They
then
may well report the well. You won't close out an existing one you just opened, but they may very well disclose that. I haven't read that. Usually there is a disclosure in there that says, to date, we have funded X amount. So if you want to talk amongst yourselves, George, I can try and quickly see if I can find
because
that
that would make
disclosure.
sense. 800 million is too low if the case. Rookie numbers. Yeah, you see. They can't stay in the mining business all the money. I know. I'm worried about HUD 8. They just don't seem like they're in the game anymore.
It doesn't feel like that. That's been my point with HUD 8. And on the members stream, we talked about, like, what's it going to take for you to see HUD 8 do to get, for you to get in the game with them. I want to see them recommit to the Bitcoin mining portion of the program. So
and then too, one of the things that they say when they report their numbers, they say under management. They never say like how much they have. They say under management.
Right, because the vast majority of what they're doing is not self-mining. I think they're at 7.2 exahash or something to that, plus or minus, of self-mining. This is HUD 8 that I think we're talking about right now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just skimming this. I'm going to skim this for 2 or 3 minutes. If I can find the info, I'll let you know. Otherwise,
Yeah, because
we'll move on with our lives.
I just can't understand why you wouldn't just say, hey, we used 300 million of the money that we needed. Because I wonder if they're getting a new plane.
I feel strongly, this is just my opinion, I feel strongly it's not to buy a new plane.
Well,
you do have to ask yourself, just 2.5 months ago they did an at-the-market offering. Why now do they need to make it bigger? One of the possible answers to that might be, so Landshark, thank you. Landshark said $300 million divided by 4.2 billion. That's a 7% stock dilution. If they do 100% of it at the current price, so if they do it over time, this could work out to be a 4% stock dilution. So that's why, that's why it's important to not make knee-jerk. We're still not to the bottom of all this, but already it's not what we thought, instantaneously, that, there's $800 million out there. It's really just an additional $300 million. I'm just skimming, and then I'm going to give up, because so far it's not jumping out at me, and usually that jumps right out at you if it's in here.
Rewind the last 30 minutes. George had a heart attack on the channel. And dude, I thought they were getting ready to finally break past their $24. I was like, oh, that was premature.
They popped up above it yesterday.
Yeah.
And then
I called it at 23, so hey.
And then boom, the other way.
I think Crypto Fever called it at 24.
So I'm going to give up looking for this. I don't see them disclosing how much of this they've already used. But again, I'm just skimming this document, so I may be missing it. So I'll do a full read through. Maybe I'll do a community post if I find this. I don't see it. I don't see it.
Barry, you make me laugh.
So I do agree with you, George. It would be nice for them to say, through such and such a date, through March 28th, we have used X number.
Is anybody buying? I guess that's even a better question.
That's a good question. What was so people expecting a brutal results here. 18% think a 25 to 40% hit on Monday for Marathon. 10% think 21% think a 10% hit, 27% think a 5% hit, 32% think 15 to 25. So it's evenly spread all over the place. I think it's going to be between this 5 or 10. And now that we've done a clarification, I'm more likely to feel like it's going to be closer to the 5 than anything else. But bear in mind, that could be my wishful thinking as a shareholder. So it's already up to $19.45, George. It's down 8% right now. And it did get down. Where did it get? It got into the 17s, remember, as we were speaking.
Yeah. So the only reason I just sold it at 1940, by the way. I should
have gone all in. No, I'm only kidding.
The only thing I would say is this, that come Monday, it just depends on Bitcoin. It really depends on what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin softens up, it could be brutal. But if it doesn't, but it's just short term. I know long term we'll be okay.
I think you're absolutely right. Monday's price action for Cleanspark is going to definitely rely on Bitcoin. If it's one of these across the board, if Bitcoin goes ballistic over the weekend, I'm not necessarily expecting that at all, by the way. I do think we just are struggling to break out of the previous all-time high. We're way ahead of schedule, so some sideways activity wouldn't be surprising. Having said that, and then we're running long, but we had some news. Having said that, we did really bounce. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, I said, if we can bounce off of this and stay somewhere above 45 on the daily RSI, that would be a reset in my opinion. We did do that, and we're now on the way up. So you can see we're starting to set higher highs and higher lows on the daily RSI. At the same time, we had a bearish crossover on March 15th. That's now 2 weeks ago. We are inching very close to a bullish crossover. So it's entirely possible that sometime in the next, let's say, 7 days, Bitcoin has that next big move to the upside. That's what everything looks like to me. That is my expectation. I don't know if that move is to back up to a couple of different spots. We got just under $74,000. So, all of that setup we just looked at, maybe that's to go retest 74,000 where we may get rejected. Or, George and I have been talking about somewhere around 77 to 78,000, I think is a pretty reasonable price target if we can get the reset that I think we just got. So I'm optimistic. I do think there's a good chance the next moves to the upside. I think we could retest 74,000. I think we could go through that potentially even to points higher, maybe 77 or 78,000. That's what it looks like to me. But you guys know how this technical analysis goes. Sometimes, and these are only a couple of indicators. So sometimes this works out, sometimes it doesn't. But I am optimistic. These are 2 of the 3 or 4 things that I had said I'm hoping happen to see the next move to the upside. So these are happening the way that I hoped they would. So that leaves the door open for a positive outcome. What do you think, George? We'll wrap it up. What's your price prediction? Where do you think we're going to be on Monday when the market opens? Where's Bitcoin going to be at?
Well, what's been funny is it's interesting. Remember, before the ETFs, we had this unbelievable push on the weekends. Now we don't have that anymore. You know that. It just seems to hang out. It doesn't seem to get that pump until usually Monday morning when they start buying again. So I relatively don't see, unless some unknown event happens, it should stay relatively, right where it is.
So I think that's you know what? You just brought up an outstanding point, in my opinion. The weekends have been more along the lines of sideways activity since the ETFs came into existence. And Mondays, the Monday-Tuesday thing, George, you mentioned this on the members only live stream. The Monday-Tuesday is where the pump can sometimes be. Then that money comes back into the ETFs. And so, I think that could be, you might have just nailed it. I think that makes a lot of sense.
And the biggest thing is,
All right,
I
welcome
think
to
what's
Talkin
happening
Investing.
is sometimes they buy it at 9 o'clock, and sometimes they wait until 10 o'clock to buy
On Monday.
on Monday. Yeah. And then one time,
Eastern time,
All
right,
just
welcome to
before the
Talkin
market,
Investing.
U.S. markets open, or just
yeah,
after.
yeah, because I forgot what week that was, where it looked like Bitcoin was going to get destroyed, and then because they didn't buy on that Friday,
All right,
and then
welcome
they
to
ended up
Talkin
buying
Investing.
like late on Monday, and it was amazing to see how much it just got destroyed.
I just want to take a moment and say thank you to AG. First of all, AG member
All right,
for
welcome
6
to
months
Talkin
asked, will
Investing.
there be a special halving stream? I think we definitely got to do a stream for the halving.
Yeah, I do.
And then thank you, AG gifted 5 memberships. So welcome.
All right, welcome
Hey,
to
you
Talkin
didn't tell them
Investing.
what they win.
Tell us what you've won. Okay, so we do a members only live stream every Tuesday after the market closes. So hopefully you guys will join us for that. We have a members only Discord, so you can join us in that. There's a great conversation going on in that. George is in that a lot more, although I've committed to getting back in there. And the members have a nice conversation going. We have a fantastic group of members. We have a lot of insight into both the Bitcoin mining and other things that we talk about. So you have both of those things. And then there's a library of probably 50 videos, 6 or 7 of which are the smaller Bitcoin miners. I did a deep dive for members only. So, you know, if you like some Bitcoin miners like, you know, Hive and there's a list of 6 or 7 of them where I did a deep dive on those, and there's a bunch of other deep dives as well. So mostly it's just a great community. Membership is $5 a month, so we very much appreciate all of our existing members. Welcome to the new members. If you're thinking about buying some of those other stocks, it's worth giving a watch through on those deep dives to see if it's something you want to add to your watch list. And obviously, please do your own due diligence. All these stocks are, you know, very tricky and very volatile. And you know, I will say what I've been saying for the last 15 or 16 months. I think there's going to be winners and losers this time around. So I do think you have to choose wisely as far as the Bitcoin miners go. I don't think they're all going to go straight to the moon in this cycle. So I think some of them have huge upside ahead, but I think you got to be in the right ones. So welcome again to, I think we got 10 new members
10
now.
new members.
So congratulations, and I hope you guys enjoy the membership. I hope you join us on the Tuesday members only live stream for starters. We'll see let's just take a look at the 15-minute on Bitcoin. So really very sideways. We're just under 71,000. Super healthy in my opinion. If we look at the 1 day, this is, you know, unless something bizarre happens, we're going to close with a nice green candle on Friday. And then lastly, let's just take a look at what our new news we got on CleanSpark. I'll refresh to make sure this isn't old. Okay, so now it's at 7.8%. We're at $19.55. This was down over 14%, you know, 15, 20 minutes ago. So maybe some people are starting to read what happened, and, you know, there's always that panic move. And who knows? This could still go either way. I'm not, who knows? We'll have to wait until Monday to see where all of this lands. Any parting thoughts, George?
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you. Happy Easter to everybody.
And so, 3 weeks away till the halving.
Yes. So we're getting very close to the halving. We've already had a gigantic run up in Bitcoin. What's going to be more interesting is what happens to the Bitcoin miners. Do the winners and losers start to separate even more? So a lot coming. Also next week, of course, we're going to get a lot of monthly operational updates. So we'll be going through all the monthly operational updates as they come in. So stay tuned. A lot of information coming at us next week. All right, George, have a great weekend. Everybody,
You
thank
too.
you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic weekend. For those of you who celebrate, happy Easter to everybody. Otherwise, happy long weekend either way. All right, have a great night.
See you, buddy.
Thanks.